Oops. Okay, we're gonna take a ratchet. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Dorks and Bolts. My name is Andres, and today we are finally putting our PMA sensors, well, at least the wiring and the sensors around the car. Later on the next video, because this is gonna be a long one, I'm gonna show you how to code and eventually how to install everything else. So stick around, and I promise you it's gonna be fun, but get a beer because it's horrible.
These are the sensors that we're gonna use, but unfortunately the paint is really in bad shape. The clear coat has chipped away and it doesn't look good at all. So we are gonna paint them in Alpine white, which is the color of my card, and I will put the part number later on. Now these sensors come with these rubber gaskets, which will go in between the sensors and the plastic bumper, and we are going to remove them first. The part numbers are the ones that you can see on the screen. To remove the paint, all I did was dab some paint thinner in a piece of cotton. At first I really wanted to remove the entire clear coat and paint and go to the plastic, but then I thought maybe the thickness of the paint might influence the resistance and the distance the sensors detect objects and stuff. So I opted just to go to a level where there's some base coat but not fully on the plastic. With that being said, I created this very high-tech template so I could paint the sensors and not put paint all over the place. Very sketchy. This is the base coat that you can get at BMW, which is kind of like touch-up paint, and it comes with paint and also the clear coat, which it's perfect for this kind of things. If this is your first time using an airbrush, don't rush. Like, this is critical because it can either give you a really awesome finish or just look awful, as you will see now.
The first coat of paint is done, but you can see that there's a lot of orange peel. So we're gonna give it a quick sand with a 1000 or 2000 grit once it's done, and then do the clear coat. I mean, these ones that go in the front look not so bad, but they definitely can be better. So we are gonna do, and this one I completely messed up. Like, this is terrible, looks like crap, but I'll fix it. Next on the list will be to find where to punch the holes for the sensors, which are marked by X's. One is right here, and the other one is somewhere here, but it's very faint. Okay, it's right here. One is here, and the other one is here. So we're gonna just grab a punch hole, or just to mark where to drill the first hole, and then we're gonna use our tool to actually make that hole. I cannot believe I'm actually gonna drill holes in this bumper. So, oh my god, nervous as hell. So we made the hole a little bit bigger. It looks really good from the outside as well. So now what's left to do is put through our bolt here. It goes like this. So you have the bolt, you have this tool, it goes through here. Like, it will go like that, straight as possible, and really make sure that the base here is fully seated on the plastic, not like crooked or anything, because the hole will come out looking terrible. And on the other side we have this thing. The tool is passed through. It's flat, seated completely flat on the plastic on this side, so we know that it's solid there. And we have started screwing our carving tool here on the other side. Whirring is the worst thing, so let's get on with this. Worst comes to worst, I think I'll just have to get a new bumper and get it to a professional. Oops. Okay, we're gonna take a ratchet. Yeah, and we're through. We got a perfect hole. If you look from the outside, the paint is perfect. There's no cracking, there's no nothing. I don't have the mounting points yet, but this will go right here, like so. It seems that we have perfect fit. This is awesome.
In case you're planning to put a camera in the bumper like I am going to do, you just have to do the exact same thing for the camera hole.
Well, now that we have received our camera and our PMA sensor, we are gonna just mount it on the bracket that will go behind this thing, and putting these things on is like pretty straightforward. You just put the camera on the ones that have the place for screws there, and your PMA sensor just goes directly there like that. That's it. Screws are in, and we are gonna peel this off and then just align it with the camera and the sensor. Make sure the rubber grommet goes in the right position and you don't have it crooked or anything like that, because it will give you a little bit of a fight. Here we go. Boys and girls, we have cameras and sensors. One side done. Now let's do the other one. One side and the other side. Perfect. So the holes in the back bumper are exactly the same that we did in the front. Just center it, and you know, just basically they're at the same level of this one. We have the mark on the bumper, and well, you know, same thing. We use the same tool, and it's fine. But now we have a problem with this. We have this structure that goes on the inside of the bumper, and obviously if we put it now where it belongs, we have an issue with our sensor bracket, because the sensor bracket is somewhere in here and we need to make a hole. Now how are we gonna make that hole? Is from the inside. We're gonna just mark it right there and calculate more or less the size of the hole. So we're gonna probably have to make like a square looking thing here, and that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so we have made our hole. It's not the prettiest looking, but at least we have the space that we need to put the sensor in there, connect the wire that is gonna come somewhere from here, like probably like this, maybe in here, I don't know, probably come somewhere like around. We'll figure that out when we get there, but that's it. Let's put it in the car.
Hold your horses, buddy. I know you're excited, but before you go install anything in the car, you need to join the existing PDC harness with the new PMA plugs. So for that, and to avoid a lot of wiring, we are going to reuse the front and back PDC harnesses that are already installed. The good thing about doing this is that the harnesses, since the plugs for ground and the green-white are shared among all sensors, we can just splice our new plugs into those and just need 2 new wires that will go to new plugs into the connector. So in the diagram we see that ground, which is the brown and white cable, is shared across all of the sensors. Same thing with the green and white. The only ones that are different and they go to a specific pin would be, in our case, the blue and green and the blue and yellow. So we take the white and brown wire, we splice that from our new sensor into the main harness. And we're gonna do the same with the green and white wire for both sensors. All the wires that you just saw in the previous diagram go into this connector. Should be installed already in the bumper where all the PDC sensors are already connected to. So as you can see, there are 6 plugs here.
or 6 positions available. 2 of them are already used for the shared wires, which is the ground and the green and white. The other 4 are used for each individual sensor, which are blue. So this is where we have a problem. We need to add 2 new cables into this connection. So what I had to do is find this plug plus the female plug that will connect from here inside the cabin or the FEM module. And it was virtually impossible to find this through BMW or real OEM or anything. So what I had to do was a little bit of research, and I was able to find the part number for this, which is somewhere here. This is a Tyco plug, and I will also put the part number for the female part, which I still don't have, but at the time that you're watching this, probably I already have it. And I'll put it somewhere here or here, somewhere in this area. The part for the female plug will be also there. Now, the thing that I couldn't find, for the love of God, is how to remove the housing for the connectors or the pins. And maybe there's a way to do it, but I couldn't find a way. And if somebody else knows how to do it, I would be so happy to find out. Leave a comment or tell me, how do you remove this? The only way I found possible to do was needle nose pliers, grab this tab and just yank it really hard. There are a couple of pins way down there that probably are used to do that grab here and in here, but I just could not find a way to move them. And to put the pins inside, you have to move this tab here and here, and then you can install the cables as you normally would in any other plug. The other thing that you need to know about this plug is that since it's outside, all your pins should have this rubber grommets, so when you put them in there, this is waterproof and you don't have any water coming into the plugs, because obviously you have water in here and that's the least thing you want. So that's for that. And also I was able to find this plug
for the PMA module that later on you'll see it as a green, but
for that plug to work correctly, you need to shave off third tooth that it's in this plug. This one has already 2 and it's the actual OEM plug. So just by looking at the numbers here, I was able to find it, not through real OEM or BMW, and the part number is also somewhere here. And this is the actual plug that you need to have both of those in black.
Hopefully you're still with me, and let's keep going. So now let's talk about the connections that go in the module.
The first thing we're going to do is going to put our yellow-red cable into the B41 2B, which this is the position the sensor will go into the holder. So the plugs basically go in this location. So this one is the B41 2B, which holds the yellow and red and the yellow and brown in positions 11 and 12. So we are going to just put them on this plug. Okay, so we have our plugs, and let's put it in position 11 and 12. So 11 is for this one, the yellow red. Okay, so we have our 2 cables that will go from here, and the other end connects to the REM. Yellow red goes to position 29, and yellow and brown will go to position 44. Also on the other plug, on the B41 1B, which is this one, we have to put our ground cable that goes in position 1. Okay, and as well we have to put our green yellow in position 4. Okay, so these are all the wires that we can put while we are not in the car for now. And this one goes to this side, and this one's go to this side. Now we'll take it to the car, and we're just gonna start plugging the front sensors on this side of the module and the rear on this side of the module. Alright, so we are one more time in the trunk. So I got one plug, as you probably remember when I was installing the wireless charger. I didn't have the right plug for the fuse here, so finally I got that, and I will replace that at the same time as I do this other part of the job. But right now what I'm gonna do is basically put the bracket for the parking assistant, which goes right here, I think. Right, so first thing first, we're gonna have to remove that entire trim, so we have access to all the cables down there, and the bumper. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. This is the bracket for the parking assistant. It's a huge chunk of plastic. So this is how it's located, and that's it. That's where our cables will go. So one thing we have to do for sure is we are going to have to take out some wires from this plug that are the sensors for the rear, and we are going to have power coming from the fuse box to our PMA module that goes right here. And yeah, these are the wires for the parking sensors right here.
First thing we're gonna do is remove the back bumper as well as the front bumper to install the two new connectors for the rear sensors, and we are going to connect as well the sensors that are from the front PMA into the REM module in the back.
And we are going to remove this tray right here, the floor tray. It's only held by one pin here that most likely you're gonna break. So if I were you, I would start ordering it, because I did break it and I order it. The part number is down below. So I mean, probably you could take it out before without breaking it, but you know, just a warning. We remove this thing, this one, plug here. There's another one right here, and everything is out. Remember to remove the bolt here for the attachment or whatever thing that is. And we are just going to push the seat a little bit out. And then this from here. And this thing is fully out except for the gas thing here, which you won't be able to get up, so just leave it there hanging. That's it. We are removing the glove box again. We're removing this thing again. This cover. This thing. This trim. Well, basically we're removing everything again that we removed. So this panel, seat, the seat, bolster, and we're gonna go take our wires that come from the front. So they come from the front, they will come through here, and the usual path all the way back to the trunk. Alright, trim tool time.
You know, at any moment, I probably think that I should be a normal person and just stop removing stuff from the car. I think I removed these trims, not kidding, 40 times plus.
Thumbs up if you hate these pins as much as I do. Okay, so we have a clear view here from where the wires come from. Here's the grommet that goes all the way to the front. So I think I'm gonna try to reuse that point to bring in the cables that are outside. The other point is this one right here that I can just pierce a hole through and bring the cables from the firewall. But I think I'm gonna use just the existing hole in there. Yeah, I think that's gonna be the best option. And since it's tradition, we're gonna use our tape. Isolate these two cables, make sure that they're protected, and we're just gonna route them the same way to reach that screwdriver. I don't know how am I gonna do that, but where there's a will, there's a way. To have easier access, this bolt, just unclip this. For doing that, you have to remove this rail here, and one clip right here in this corner. That's all you have to remove, and then unlock this with a Allen number 6 or 5 or something like that. Then you just move it up, and then you have easier access to that bolt. And we'll see what we do about this one right here, but I think that one a ratchet can get in, so we can remove this entire thing and have access to our screwdriver.
Once you have fought the battle of your life to get those two little wires through that tiny hole, just pass them through the side of the car, going from pillar A, then to B, and then finally towards the trunk, so you can reach with both cables to the final plug where we will install the front sensors for the PMA. And now for some extra fun, we're gonna see this guy stuff himself 20 million times in his fingers with that pick tool that he obviously does not understand that you do not take that one to remove plugs, but he'll get it pretty soon. Anyway, here is a chart of how the sensors are mapped from the REM plug, the 1741B, to be transferred to the B41 2B and the B41 1B on the PMA module. So yeah, let's look at this guy. Another thing that I should mention is that there are a couple of cables that we need to pass from the PMA module all the way back to the main cabin, and specifically to the footwell of the passenger side. There's a big harness that we need to join a couple of wires there, and I'll show you a diagram later on how to pass those. So if you have reached this level of madness and you are like me looking in the dark with a little tiny flashlight to figure out the pins, it's really not that complicated, and there's a pattern to it. If you pay attention to the plugs, you'll notice that everything that goes on the rear bumper is yellow and some variant, and everything that is on the front, it's blue. So that way you can recognize more or less on that plug which wires you have to take out. Obviously make sure that you take out the right pin, because yeah, it's not gonna be pretty if you put the wrong one in the, you put the right one in the left. Just, yeah, wouldn't be fun. Also, if you're wondering how did I get the right color wiring, what I did is I bought a couple of harnesses for the dashboard, one for the PDCs in the front and the PDCs in the back bumper, and I started stripping them out so I had the right colors for each application. Moving on to better things, we are going to start moving our pins from one connector to the other, and we're going to start by plugging the brown cable which is our ground. And you can see in this diagram, the jacking point for that specific wire is behind the back seat bolster. This one in the picture is a 3 series, I think, but it works for the 4 Grand Coupes. But just to make sure, before you do any of this, do your research, please. Next up is the brown white and the green white, which, as you can see here, they have to go all the way to the footwell in the passenger side. These ones were really painful to do, but since we had already cables coming from the engine bay to the back of the car, I just reused the opportunity and I passed them at the same time. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but yeah, as you know, nothing is easy on these cars. Finally, we are going to the green yellow. This one goes into the fuse box. So this one goes into pin 4 of the Z24B plug, and you either are going to have to tap it or put a new terminal in it. In my case, I had to tap it because something else was already there, but as always, it depends on the options that you have in your car, or sometimes in very rare cases that I have found, even in this car, that there's no options, there's something there already that I don't know what that is. Anywho, moving along, let's talk B41 2B. Now with this one, we're going to start with the green black and the brown black, which they connect into this harness that it's right there underneath or on top of the battery actually. So you have to just join these two cables into the same color cables at these points. And finally, the last two, we are going to change the positions on the A17414B to the B41 2B. We need to remove them from pins 29 and put it on 11, and 44 and put it on number 12. These ones are the yellow ones. Okay guys, so don't give up yet. We are almost there. I promise you, after this few last cables and stuff, it's just a matter of putting the wheel sensors that we need to replace and just coating it in. Wow, finally the Red Bull kick in. Look at this guy go. Jesus. He really wants to get out of here and be done with his wiring. I wonder if he takes another Red Bull, go even faster than this. Yep, it does. Wow, impressive. So as we previously did in the front, we're gonna do the same thing here in the back of the car. We are going to splice our new 2 connector for the PMA. We are going to join them in the brown wire, which is connected to all of the sensors, as well as the green one. So you have to, on your new plugs, you will have a brown black wire that you will have to join to the brown black wire on this loom, and you will do the same with the green and black. Once that's done and it's beautifully joined, the only thing left is to put inside the trunk the yellow and blue and the yellow and violet wire, and then just rinse and repeat, do the other side. And this brings us to the almost end of our headache. We need to connect our wires from the front sensors into the car. So we're gonna remove the cover, and we are going to see that this is disgustingly awesome. Well, I finally found the leak, the oil leak from the BMW. Yay! It actually has one. Anyway, so here is the harness that we're going to join, and we're gonna route the cables through that. So there's our plug that we have already connected, but we need to pass those wires into the main cabin following this main gigantic harness that is covered in oil and dust. and rub, and I don't know what that is. Anyway, I'm just gonna clean that up, remove the old tape, follow that path all the way. I remove the tape from that inner point, and then I'm gonna go down there, following the all the way to the plastic, or the rubber boot actually, that goes inside the cabin. Okay, so we have joined our connector, cables are in, and it's following the same path as we planned. Everything is looking better, and as you can tell, I sort of cleaned up a little, but you know, it's not much, but it's better as what it was. Obviously, I broke one holder for the harness that I will have to find now, because you know, it's inevitable. Those plastic holders are the worst things ever made. So, well, anyway, so all this new tape. Make sure that you put a lot of tape on that junction. You don't want any water to go into your fuse box, or nothing in there really. That has to be very, very watertight. So now I have all my cables right where I want them, and I will join them also to that harness down below, so it can go into the main cabin, and as I planned, it will go all the way to the trunk, following the side panel of the car.
So yeah, fun times. We are getting there. It's a rough one though. Like, there's still wires to come for the cameras. We have the bumpers in the trunk for the sensors, as well as the radars for the lane change warning. So this is gonna take a while, but we're getting there.
So we have wired all our sensors, front and back, and now we're gonna put the box where it belongs.
And with all that done, it is time to put everything back together again. I mean, until, I don't know, a week or two when I get bored again and I remove it, but at least the car will be drivable. So yeah, put back all the trims that you took out, the bumpers, whatever else you removed, and I'll show you on the next video how to code, and I'll give you a little preview about how to install the radars for the lane change warning system, as well as installing the back bumper brackets that I actually made a hole at the beginning of this video, but I'm not happy how they look like.
Okay, so if I still have your attention, thank you for sticking around. I know it was a really long video, but we did good progress, and everything is almost ready just to go code and drive this thing out of the garage. And if you want to support us, please give us a like, share with your friends, and subscribe to our channel so we can keep making these crazy things in the future. Thank you so much again, and see you next time. Bye.